The Romantic era was a period of time when artistic, literary, musical, and intellectual progress was made. This era started near the end of the 18th century and reached its peak between 1800 and 1850 in Europe. During this time, an emphasis was put on the emotions of the individual.
Oh, I didn't see you there. My name's John Martin, and I'm an English Romantic painter, engraver, and illustrator. I was born in July 1789 in Hayden Bridge, Northumberland, England. My father, Fenwick Martin, sent me to be taught by Boniface Musso. In 1806, I moved to London with Musso, and my journey began. Throughout my life, I created many works of art, and according to the history books, I died on the 17th of February in 1854 on the Isle of Man. Many of my works are still around today. The subject of most of my works were apocalyptic events from the Bible and a few mythological sources. In my artwork, I put the people in a vast landscape that made them seem tiny. My best known works of art are The Great Day of His Wrath, The Last Judgment, The Plains of Heaven, and Balthazar's Feast. If you wish to see all of my works, you would have to travel to many museums around the world, but my best works are at the Tate Gallery in London. While my works were great, I had many critics. The worst of them was John Ruskin. Thanks to his opinion on my works, I was never inducted into the Royal Academy of Art. Oh well, it's in the past now. While my life had ended, my legacy carried on. My works inspired many later artists and important figures, such as Thomas Cole, the American essayist, Ralph Waldo Emerson, the American essayist, lecturer, and poet, and the Bronte sisters, the famous poets and novelists. Well, that's all my time. I really must get back to my work. Farewell.
Well, hello. I've been waiting for you. My name is Frederick Chopin, and I'm a Polish composer and pianist of the Romantic era. I was born on March 1st, 1810, in Zelazowa, Poland. In 1816, my first professional music tutor was hired. It soon became apparent that I was a child prodigy. At 7 years of age, I was already giving public concerts. From that point on, I lived a life of success. Sadly, that life was a short one. According to your recorded history, I died on October 17th, 1849. My music is what remains. While I lived, I invented musical ballads and composed many works. These works were diverse, as I created many mazurkas, waltzes, nocturnes, polonaises, etudes, impromptus, preludes, and sonatas. A few of these weren't heard until after I died. In the present world, my music can still be heard. Many films and productions have used pieces of my works, but many people don't know where they come from. For example, the Prelude Opus 28, number 4, was in the film The Notebook. My most famous pieces include the Prelude Opus 28, number 4, Nocturne, Opus 9, number 2, Fantasy, Impromptu, Opus 66, Grande Valse Brillante, Opus 64, number 2, and Nocturne, Opus 27, number 1. My works made me famous, and some people refer to me as the greatest pianist ever. My music's had a lasting impact on society. Today, there are many foundations and programs named after me. They've even created an international piano competition in my name. Well, I really must go now. Music won't write itself.
Hello there. I'm Lord George Byron, and I was born with the name George Gordon Byron on the 22nd of January in 1788. I was born in London, England, and my parents were named John Mad Jack Byron and Catherine Gordon. I was married to Anne Milbank, and I courted Claire Claremont. I also had 2 daughters, Ada, Countess of Lovelace, and Allegra Byron. Unfortunately, Allegra died at the age of 5. I was known for my Romantic period writings and for being a member of the House of Lords. While I have many spectacular poems that I've written over the course of the years, some are a lot more recognized than others. For example, Don Juan, Manfred, Childe Harold's Pilgrimage, and Mazeppa. Don Juan is a story of a man who led a poor life. He was known for seducing women. However, in my interpretation of the story, Don Juan does not seduce the women seduce him. Another story I wrote is Mazeppa. It's a narrative poem, and I wrote it in the English Romantic period. It's about the life of Ivan Mazeppa, a Ukrainian man who later became hetman of the Ukrainian Cossacks. He lived from 1639 to 1709. Childe Harold's Pilgrimage is a lengthy narrative poem that's written in 4 parts. It was published at some point between the times of 1812 and 1818, and it's dedicated to someone I knew named Lance. The poem describes the travels, along with the reflections, of a man who's been spoiled and is weary of the world. He moves and attempts to find foreign pleasures in new regions. Manfred is a Faustian noble living in the Bernese Alps. Internally tortured by a guilt that we don't know about, which we do know has something to do with the death of a loved one, he uses a mastery of languages and the ability to cast spells to summon 7 spirits, who he attempts to get forgetfulness from. The spirits, who rule various components of the world, are unable to control past events and are unable to grant his plea. For some time, fate prevents him from killing himself, but eventually, his guilt is released through suicide. Lord Byron was known as quite the womanizer and was very popular up until his death on the 19th of April in 1824. He was 36. He died in modern-day Greece.